carry picks for Arrow down there in the bottom lane. See how Maryville has prepped for that and how they want to respond to some of those, you might say, wild cards that get thrown into the mix by these two squads.
Yep. And the Callista band, definitely interesting here from Maryville. Callista has been popping up her head a little bit more recently, and I need to peep the exact reason why she's been creeping back into the meta, since I would have thought she would have really favored earlier this season, but we did have those melee engaged supports, and now we're shifting a little bit away from them. Either way, though, won't be seeing the reason as to why this game, as we are finishing up the bans here. Xin Zhao going to be the last one. I do know that is a bit of a Maryville favorite, and it has been a target ban against them. Let's see what the prio is here. The Akali being hovered. That would be a great takeaway from Bradley. And Spyrax does play a very mean Akali, if my memory does serve correctly here, Gordo.
Yeah, could definitely be flexed between Spyrex and Chippies there. And as you were saying, I put in my notes in all caps here that you cannot give Bradley that Akali. This man has been popping off on that pick over the course of the last few weeks, all the way over in Cup, where they did make their championship run. And before we get too far into this draft, it can't go without saying that Wildcard has got their new top laner in today in Brandini, going to be seeing what he brings to the Rift now that Dokla's been promoted up to Team Liquid Academy.
For sure, yeah. It is going to be a little bit sad to see Dokla go, because he was Winston's good partner there, that top jungle duo. However, though, I was talking with the coach of Wildcard Red, ADFX, before this match, and he said yes. Brandini, I almost said Bradley. That's going to be a mild tongue twister tonight on cast. Either way, though, Brandini is definitely a star player and a fitting replacement for Dokla. See how they're able to operate with a new top laner, though, as Ezreal, the AD carry who's just risen to prominence literally everywhere because of Divine Sunderer being a mildly strong item, rears his head once again here in this series.
Yeah, and that's going to force Azog off of that Ezreal there. He played 4 games on Saturday to qualify for this main event, and all 4 of them were on Ezreal. Now going to be busting out that Varus, which coincidentally has been a big signature pick for Arrow over the course of Cup. Been nerfed a little bit since those days, but is going to be paired up with the Thresh here on the Maryville side. Azog and Shady going to be bringing those two out here, facing up against Arrow and Daption. We'll see soon what Daption wants to take for that support position. The Rumble also going to be the major priority jungler here. That's going to be locked in for Winston, and Daption's going to get his Nautilus as well.
And I wonder if Wildcard Red want to try and target out the Odd Orange here in the jungle, since you do have these 2 bans. You've already taken one of the big primo picks here in the Rebel, taken away one of the big primo counters in that Xin Zhao. You want to, you can really put the pressure on this jungler who, historically showing, the Odd Orange this season has had some trouble sometimes where he can really pop off one game, and then other games it's what you might call a soft int, so to speak. You know, the intention's there to do his best, but scoreline does show that 0-7. You're like,
Yeah, that missing ban from the wildcard side is going to be the Jace. Keep that in mind here, as red side's going to ban away Jace, blue side's going to ban away Renekton. Now there is another ban here for wildcard red coming through on the red side. We'll see if they want to pinch top lane a little bit further, and it is going to be Chippy's signature Camille. We saw that one out of him on Saturday, and actually not going to get locked on in, but I think we can assume that it is the Camille after all. It is Camille.
Mm-hmm. And I'm curious to see what Wildcard Red want to lock in here. They already know that Akali is going to be one of those solo lanes. You can always play a bit of a flex game here and do a little bit of role swapping. We do a little bit of trolling here in the Wildcard draft. Okay, don't tell ADFX I said that, because he would have a few choice words to say to me. Stream-friendly words, but very stern father sort of words, if you know what I mean.
Fresh off Father's Day, I think we all know some stern fatherly words that we've gotten as of late. But now Gnar going to be the lock-in. First game on the new squad, going to be busting out that little primitive Yordle there with the Mega Gnar ultimate. And now Vi going to be locked in here by Maryville for, you got to believe, Odd Orange. Maybe taking a couple pages out of CLG's book, given the success they showed this past weekend.
Yep. Vi has only really had that one showing, but it was a very notable showing because I did not get to watch the game, but I do know that CLG did win that. And Vi can pair very well with the likes of the Sakali. Assassins always love Vi just due to her point and click assault and battery ultimate. You pick a target, they are locked down, and then you bop them right back on up with your little chargy punch there. And it's usually more than enough time for any assassin of your pleasing to kill whatever carry you decided to click the button on. Gwen, though, gonna round out the draft here for Maryville. Interesting because it fell this far through the draft, Gordo, and I do know that is a Bradley specialty.
Yeah, absolutely is here. So now that Lucian gonna be flanking the Rumble in the jungle. That's a classic mid jungle duo for these last couple of patches. We've seen quite a bit of what these two are capable of when paired up together. A nice diversity in their damage portfolio here. Going to be facing off against one of these strong melee carries in the form of the Akali and the Gwen. Now, this Vi is really the unique pick of this whole draft. It's going to be a lot different than what we saw from CLG. CLG, they played it twice there, but they brought it in with the Galio both times, going for that really powerful dive composition. And while there is definitely dive available for Maryville, there's not going to be anything quite so much of an AoE CC powerhouse as a heroic entrance being thrown down on top of that assault and battery.
Yeah, you do have the Gwen and Akali, though, which will definitely bring in a lot of pain following that assault and battery. Curious to see how the Odd Orange wants to build on this Vi. If he wants to go for the much more damagey route or a little bit more of the bruisery route where you're able to go in and survive a little bit. Either way, though, this Gwen pick is probably going to be a little bit of a thorn in the side here, I feel, for Wildcard Red Gordo, as once you pop that little mist of hers, the W, you can ignore so much of what Wildcard Red wants to throw at you. Nautilus Engage? Rumble Equalizer? Ezreal Lucian damage? It's just all kind of ignored by her, and maybe that can be a potent force in these fights because it is going to Chippies in the top lane who should be able to snips on through Brandini's Gnar.
Yeah, you're really going to be looking at Winston and Brandini here to be able to try to shut down Chippies' Gwen early on, because this champ is just going to scale up so hard here, going to provide so much value in that side lane. As you said, it's just going to be really, really difficult to get onto. That really is something that can be said for almost all of the composition for Maryville here. Akali, Vi, Gwen, all very mobile there. And Varus, who looks to be, the one immobile target you might have, well, he can just get Dark Passage right out of there by the Thresh. So Wildcard gonna really have to pick a target, stick to them, and layer that CC very effectively if they want to actually make picks here on their picks like Nautilus and Rumble.
Yes, because you are going to be diving into the heat of things, to say the least. Well, you can say that about both these sides, really, because once you go in, there's going to be plenty of damage to face you. So you better try and get who you want to get and get out quickly before the cavalry gets your potentially sorry little hindquarters.
Absolutely. It's really on Wildcard here, and the powerful laners they've drafted for themselves here. Gnar should be able to utilize the range advantage he's got over Gwen. Lucian should be able to do the same to Akali in the early game. And then even in that bottom lane, you don't think of Ezreal as a very aggressive laner there, but we all know just the pedigree that comes with Arrow here. This man's a former LCS MVP, has tons of accolades over in the LCK as well, and is really the one to watch here on this Wildcard Red squad, is somebody who can really put a lot of weight on his back, carry these lanes, and carry these games.
For sure, yeah. And it's not just Arrow, because one of the reasons why people feared the Wildcard Red roster so much is just how star-studded it is. It is kind of like walking down the Hollywood Boulevard of Fame, I believe it's called. I don't know. Either way, though, you have a lot of mainstays from Academy coming on down, and you're just like, this isn't fun to deal with, as you're just having to deal with all these big players, big names in each and every single lane. And yeah, I finished that point poorly, but hey,
Yeah, no, but it's a great point though, Gopherino. Maryville, they're the all stars over in the collegiate scene. They've got Chippies coming over from OCE. They've got Odd Orange, who feels like he's been around for forever. Shady got a couple of games in the LCS back in the day here, but facing up against Wildcard Red, these are some real mainstays of the amateur and academy circuit. Winston playing for TSM Academy just last year. Arrow, of course, we've already talked about. Brandini got some LCS games on his back in the day. And Bradley and Daption, these guys have really been coming out in their own as of late. Particularly Bradley has just been performing so well in these lanes over the course of the last Proving Ground split.
Yeah, and Bradley is a great person to bring up because last year Bradley wasn't on too many people's radar. Like, he definitely was a fine player. He was a serviceable player in the mid lane back when he went by the moniker Freeze. However, this year, joining the Wildcard Red roster and just really going ham, it seems, and really putting his name on the map as someone who should be feared and someone who should probably be picked up by any of the scouts that are hopefully watching this.
Yeah, and up against Spyrax, who's really kind of the new kid on the block for the side of Maryville. They've been running Wolfie for a long time here, and now Spyrax is the new kid coming in here up against Bradley. Definitely going to have a lot to prove here on this Akali. But with that said, we're going to throw it to a quick break here while we get loaded on up into the game. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with all the action of Game 1 of Maryville versus Wildcard Red. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's Risen Championship Series Tier 2 tournament matchup between Maryville University and Wildcard Red. We've completed the first round drafts here, and now we get to see Game 1 between these collegiate finalists and the Cup champions themselves, Wildcard.
Yep. To say this match tonight is Wildcard Red favorite is kind of putting it lightly. Don't get me wrong, Maryville definitely have some merit to their chops. You don't get to top 2 in CLOL without a reason. But when it comes to the AM scene, Maryville hasn't really had the best track record so far, as we've seen in Cup. Kind of struggle to make a name for themselves there. Had to go through open qualifiers, and I believe they did have a few roughish games, although they did go 2-0 series-wise. So able to get out of open qualifiers easily enough. Either way, though, this is game number 1 of their first day. Well, everybody's first day in the official first day of the Risen Champions Summer League. As Bradley already looking to go aggressive in this matchup.
Yeah. It's first day of the Champions League, and it's also Brandini's first day on stage with the team. Not literally on stage, of course, but in the figurative sense. As, we're going to get to see what he really brings to this roster here and how he fills the gap that Doka's left here. As Daption going to land a nice dredge line here onto Shady. Going to get flayed back in here to trade the damage pretty evenly there, but both sides going to come out not really too much worse for wear.
Yep. Now they have the level 2 on both these sides, so this is going to be spicy.
Yeah, Daption just getting hooked on in, though. He's just getting melted on down by Azog and Shady. Shady going to be able to pick up that first blood here, and now Arrow, he's got to head for the hills. He's found himself in a little bit of a 1 versus 2, and the level advantage just not really going to mean anything in that context.
Winston, actually, he's looping around here. This could be the standard Daption bait where you die in lane but get the dub overall.
Yeah, and here comes that dub. Shady going to try to flash away, but he's just going to get melted right here by Winston's overheat. The double kill for the Rumble in Wildcard's jungle. A huge play here by Winston, getting around in that flank, double killing the opposing bot lane.
Man, oh man, and Taco, the manager for the Wildcard Black team, did kind of flame Daption for his propensity to die in lane going for these 2v2s, and usually it works out. This time it didn't until it did. Huge props to Winston there for that major heads-up play, and Baxton already has the Swark boots. That's going to be kind of nasty. This early penetration on Rumble, who loves flat penetration, is going to be nasty when it comes to clearing these camps and, of course, clearing these enemy champions.
Yeah, and that first blood gold, it dare I say means almost nothing at this point now, as it went over to Shady on the Thresh, not really the target that you want to be funneling gold into, and the CS now has ended up going over in favor of Arrow. He did not really end up behind by any margin as a result of that play, and now double kill of gold right into Winston's pocket, as you said, giving him those boots.
Yep. We'll see what repercussions this has, because it looks like, actually... Okay, I thought the Auto Orange was going to path up to try and steal away Winston's jungle, but it looks like he did not. Kind of on the opposite side of the map when that did happen. Still.
Shady's in mid, though. Yeah, it's going to be a flash engage coming through from Auto Orange, trying to get onto Bradley. Bradley still has access to that flash, not even going to have to expend it, though. Relentless Pursuit just doing just enough to get him out of range of that Vi.
Yep, very, very tight trigger finger on that dash there for Bradley to keep him safe, because a Vi pre-6 without flash is a lot less dangerous than a Vi with flash. Is gonna help give a little bit of extra safety to all these lanes.
Brandini going to successfully crash a pretty big wave up in that top lane. He's really asserting himself in this Gnar versus Gwen matchup. We talked about how it would be important here, and he's got the shove for himself. Not really with too big of a CS lead, though. Only about 2 minions in his favor, so definitely not going to be taking Chippy's out of the game or anything. Chippy's also opting for the Ghost in this lane versus the Ignite teleport that we really often see coming through on these Gwen picks.
I'm wondering if the Ghost might be to help with just dipping and diving around. I'm thinking mainly of dodging the Rumble ulti with that. Definitely will be helpful. Helps you get out of the culling much more easily and dodge some of Gnar skill shots. But yeah, like you said, not exactly the usual thing we see. Usually we see that Ignite Teleport, like you mentioned, for the lane pressure and that insane kill potential, or even Flash Teleport if you want to do something a little bit more standard by top laner standards. We'll see how it does pan out, though.
Yeah, definitely will here is Shady just clearing away that control ward in the river. Going to take a Mystic Shot or two for his troubles, but certainly going to still be plenty healthy. We can see Odd Orange is hanging around in this bottom side. Not sure if Arrow and Daption have spotted him out, but they're playing at a pretty safe distance. Daption's down there in the bottom river, or the bottom bush, rather. So Odd Orange just going to complete a recall, and no real violence going to come of anything as a result of that play.
Vi stands for violence. I just remembered that quote. But yep, just a standard back coming out there. That is one of the main flaws of the Vi. When you don't have the flash, your ganks tend to be very telegraphed. Of course, we saw the Odd Orange chilling in that bush, and when Arrow is that close to the bush, well, it's much harder to react. Which is one of the ways you can work around it. Either way, though, Bradini and Chippy's going at it, but it's not a 1v1.
Yeah, Chippy's going to expend that Ghost to try to go aggressively here onto Brandini, but Winston is there for the backup. Odd Orange has shown up as well, so it is a 2 versus 2 in that top lane. Spyrax has the first move coming out of the mid lane, but everybody just going to end up disengaging. Daption is hanging out here by the bottom side, potentially looking for a big old Death Charge, or Dredge Line, rather, onto Spyrax. Doesn't appear to be going that way, though. So now the blue steal going to be attempted by Winston and Brandini here. They seem to have control over it.
Yeah, Winston, level 6 here. We see Spyrax in that top lane without any summoners, without that ulti, to really come down and help contest. Plus, also, that would have been a pretty decent way if he loses to tower. Great moves, great macro there by the Wildcard, and a lot of it did kind of start off with, well, one, that gank at the top lane, but also two, Daption just roaming up to that mid lane, providing that extra body, that extra threat of kill potential there, letting Wildcard Red just move on in, grab that objective, and deny a little bit of EXP, a little bit of farm away from the Odd Orange, and add in a little bit of tilt factor potentially.
Yeah, good awareness from Odd Orange, though, not to go aggressively on that play. Knows that Gnar is going to be able to go mega soon. Knows that Winston has the item advantage. You know, you always want to be getting engages off early on that Vi, but Vi stands for vision in this case, as he's just going to be throwing down some wards and having to back away.
And Bradley just... Oh, the no-use Odd Orange actually steals that blue buff away. Let's see if he's punished for this, because he's going in.
Battery coming on in. Arrow is here for the backup, though, just raining damage across from that. Ezreal going to melt right on through Odd Orange before anything can really be accomplished. Looks like it's pretty much going to be a 1-for-0 there. Bradley tried the ultimate, but he got interrupted. Now Shady going to be forced to dash away. Spyrax going on in there with the perfect execution, trying to finish off onto any targets. That's a nice hook out of Daption in the bottom river, going to throw Azog into the Dragon Pit, where Arrow's just going to be able to free fire. Daption picks up his second kill of this fight there, just hoarding all the gold on that Nautilus. It's going to be a 2-4-0 in favor of Wildcard Red.
What a funny little sequence of events there. And it all starts with Odd Orange going. Never mind that, as Shady is here in the mid lane. Bradley does not have flash.
Ooh, dodges away from the shuriken flip, but it might not make a difference. Bradley going to dive over, but Shady going to finish him off with the death sentence. Another kill, all the support gold going towards them in this game here. 2-1-0, the stat line on both of these guys.
But that is great by Shady to roam on up, not only because he gets the kill, but it should help cool the jets of Bradley there, who was more or less just fiercely dashing in every time.
Winston's going to find him. Spyrax couldn't use the shuriken flip to get over the wall. He's just going to get chased down here by Winston and finished on off. Winston flashes forward, uses the overeat auto attack, goes up to 3-0-1, and Spyrax, he gets punished by Arrow's True Shot Barrage, interrupting his recall across the map.
That, and also Spyrax's shuriken flip didn't take him over the wall there, which I think was the intended goal. Either way, though, absolutely cheeky Nando play coming out here from this Wildcard Red squad. Cross-map trolling, as we like to say in the business. Either way, though, Wildcard Red do find themselves up to a very healthy lead so far in this game, with the kill lead, the dragon lead, soon to be a Rift Herald lead, which they can use to try and grab a first tower here, potentially in the mid lane with that prio Bradley has been grabbing what feels like 24/7.
Yeah, Arrow here. Falling behind in CS in the bottom lane as Daption's been spending a lot of time roaming around the map, but 100% KP here on this Ezreal, making sure that those True Shot barrages really getting a lot of value. But now
Wow.
he's getting dove 1v3. He's going to dodge away from that Vi, but the Assault and Battery cannot be dodged away
Oh
from.
my
Here comes the
God,
Equalizer, though,
Winston.
layered on top of the members of Maryville. They're forced to back on away here. The box gets thrown on down to try to slow them down. Azog going to pick up the snipe there onto Arrow to get the kill back. Now a nice two-man flank
He's
paired up with the
overheating.
Vi. So much damage coming through from the Maryville squad. They end up losing Odd Orange, but they get so much back on the other side. A triple kill to Azog, and meanwhile, Spyrax have finished off onto Bradley, and just like that, the kills get evened up off of an aggressive bot lane play by Maryville University.
Man, and I thought Wildcard Red was gonna be able to turn that one around because Arrow able to get out there until that last little charged piercing arrow coming out from Azog. Critically, though, Winston did overheat before they went into that tri-bush, and there wasn't any vision, so they didn't know that Maryville was trying to spring a trap on them. Great by Maryville, like you said, there are now 3 kills in Azog's pocket. He has that completed Prowler's Claw, and this is going to be one hell of a menace here, this AD carry.
Absolutely is going to be here. You know, those 6 assists, they look nice on Ezreal until you see what he's facing off against. Still no Mythic completed here for Arrow, but meanwhile, Brandini getting ganked to the top lane. Shady going to pull in Chippies there with the Dark Passage, but not going to be able to land the Q. That means Brandini's
He's still Dragon.
on out of here. And yeah, that's a Dragon Steal. That's a big old piercing arrow coming through from Azog here as he's off the Ezreal for the first time since the qualifiers and looking real good here as he steals away an objective for his team.
That is one of the things about that lethality, Varus. Piercing arrows hurt quite a bit and make it a bit easier to steal those objectives compared to normal piercing arrows. Bradley might be in danger here. Assault and Battery is up, gonna be used.
Yeah, he's got the Shuriken flip too. They're diving on in together.
Oh,
Spyrax though taking some turret aggro. He's gonna get traded back by Bradley. Nice plays there on the Lucian, going to be able to make that a 1-for-1 when really he was sure to be dead.
Yep. Props to Bradley. I mean, I was hyping him up in the pregame for a reason. This is a Wonder Boy prodigy in the mid lane. Not to toot Wildcard's own horn here, but going 1-for-1 like that, pretty excellent when you're getting dived under tower by, well, point and click, assault and battery, and then Spyrax backing that up as an assassin.
Yeah, definitely going to be a huge deal there for these guys. It's now just returning to jungling for the time being, have a little bit of a break, although Daption getting engaged on the bottom lane. Flay not going to land onto him. He is going to be able to escape here. He does get hit there by the Chains of Corruption, just gets poked on out. Hit by a piercing arrow as a result with all those passive procs. Azog pretty successfully taking Daption effectively out of the lane. He's going to have to take a recall there.
Yeah, and I wonder if that was the intended purpose of that Chains of Corruption there, not necessarily to kill. I mean, if you get the chance, obviously you'll take it, but might have just been, hey, please get out of this lane so we just get this fat, juicy recall here on our own terms, which they definitely will get right as the turret plays to drop here. This game, dead even, more or less.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, it's been a big comeback from Maryville. They were set behind early on, but that bot lane play really skyrocketed them right back into the game, and now they're even on Dragons. They're close to even on Gold, a little bit less so than they were before. Nobody's taken any turrets. It's very close across the board here. A couple of turret plates in Wildcard's favor. But we are setting up for a fight here. Shady going to spot Daption in the river. Winston coming around for backup. Spyrax going to be pulled on in. The Flay gets landed onto Daption. Here comes the Equalizer layered on down. Not doing damage to Shady, though. Spyrax going engaged. Getting picked up there onto Daption. He finishes off with the perfect execution. Still has the R2 available. Bradley going to have to back away here. Has to be really worried about this Vi coming on over. Assault and Battery right on top of him. Comes through with the root from those Chains of Corruption. Odd Orange picks up another kill in the mid lane there. Drops turret aggro. Going to manage to stay alive. And it's a 2-for-0 play for the side of Maryville. They're taking control again, and they're going to pick up a turret in the middle lane.
Oof, yeah, it is in the first tower of the game because that was picked up in the bot side by Air while all of this was happening. However, though, Maryville making some great proactive moves there with this Vi, with this Thresh. Shady and the Odd Orange are out for blood, and they are using each and every one of their abilities to make sure that, well, these kills do land when they shoot their shots.
Yeah, definitely there, and Spyrex now was able to pick up another kill there, getting him even more gold in his pocket. He hasn't been able to finish off his mythic item yet, but once those spikes do come through, that's going to be a big difference maker for this Akali here, and they're really doing a lot to shut down Bradley. He was able to make that one dive a 1-for-1, but other than that, he's just been getting dove over and over in this mid lane and has not really been able to produce a great answer.
Yeah, he's been winning the one-on-one matchup, but I'll hold that thought because, speak of the devil, he might just be getting dived here again. You can try channeling the recall, but it won't happen in time. He'd have to use the teleport, or it's back on off now. We'll see if the Out Orange wants to commit to this, because he does have Shady coming. Even though Shady is pinged out, Bradley will live to tell another tale.
Yeah, something you can see about this Maryville team every time they play is when they find a play that's working for them, they will just go for that play over and over again until you prove to them that it's not going to work anymore. And this time that play is just going to be dive Bradley. They've dove Bradley in the mid lane over and over again. You saw they were just setting up for it again in the bottom lane. This time Bradley able to move away in time, but then they can just go on in, claim the turret for themselves, and back on away. Still going to be traded across the map, though. All the outers have been taken here by the side of Wildcard, and they're going to try to pick themselves up another Rift Herald.
Would be a nice free Rift Herald if they do get it here without contention. Keep in mind, we do have 10 seconds till the first Ocean Dragon of the game is up, so they can use this to force a bit of a catch-22 with free split push in one lane. Does not look like they will be able to, since Maryville just hopping right on top of this dragon. We'll see what Wildcard Red are able to do about this.
Yeah, looks like not too much at the moment. Maryville are just going to pick up this dragon for free while everybody on Wildcard are taking a bit of a recall here. So another objective taken off the map, another one in favor of Maryville here. They're really keeping this game competitive, despite what we may have had to say in some of the pregame there. Arrow, though, he's keeping himself farmed up. He's just clearing out these waves in the middle lane. He's got his 2-item power spike here before Varus even does, actually. Varus does not have the upgraded mana immune as of yet due to the order those items were built in. So might be a little bit of a power spike here for Arrow if they take a fight soon.
We'll see what happens, because they will want to do said fight pretty soon with how powerful this Ezreal is. You have to keep in mind, though, this Illusion a little down in the dumps right now, especially since he was building towards the Immortal Shield Bow, but since he can't have 2 lifeline passes, but never mind that. We have the teleport. We have the equalizer.
Yeah, they really want to use their Mega Gnar while they have the opportunity. Winston going to load down the equalizer, but not going to be enough, as now Brandini just getting jumped on in his mini form. He's going to be melted through in an instant. Now Spyrex dashing into the back line, gets the perfect execution across 2 targets, melts through them in just a second there, as Odd Orange picks up a double kill as well on the backside, using those denting blows to just burst through every single member of Wildcard. And now Arrow, he's the last man standing. He can't carry this fight on his own. He's going to have to head out of here. Might potentially get caught out by Chippies, though. Going to have to Arcane Shift over another wall there, and that's a big fight win in favor of Maryville. They're going to claim the gold lead with that and control over this red side jungle.
And Wildcard Red committed to that. They started it off, but they used way too much there at the beginning, and a lot of their key ultimates whiffed, more or less. We saw the equalizer really not do much of anything. We saw the Gnar ulti not hit anyone, thanks to the timely flash by Shady. And most importantly, Arrow was not around to be able to help outside of that true shot barrage of Maryville. Now the ones in the lead of this game, of course, going by the gold metric, it is more or less dead even. However, though, definitely the momentum, the tempo in favor of Maryville right now after the series of wins they've been taking across the map.
Yeah, absolutely. And Baron going to be coming up here in about 15 seconds. You wouldn't think that it's time to start that one up too early on the side of Maryville, but they do have the Gwen. Does that Baron pretty quickly here.
Yeah.
Potentially back them on up. And they've got so much vision control over this top side now off of that last win. They were able to clear out a lot of the wards that had been laid down by the side of Wildcard. Let's see, Brandini, he's just trying to force some control into this top lane, getting priority for himself. Is going to be able to do so. So now we can see all the members of Wildcard. They're grouping up on the top side.
Yep. Looks like top is the place to be right now if you are Wildcard. Of course, there isn't too much on the map right now in terms of objectives, with the Herald being down, with the Dragon not being up for a bit. So name of the game is probably just going to be dancing around, trying to get a pick here. They're maybe trying to set up the vision for Baron play. Just collect side waves here.
Yeah, it's all they really do have available for the time being. That wave in the bottom lane really getting pushed in there by Chippy. Somebody's going to have to go answer that on the side of Wildcard at some point. But as of right now, they're just all sticking in the top lane here. Chippy's going to back on away, though. He's not 100% certain where certain members might be. But it's got to be something that's on Wildcard's radar here in the next couple of moments.
And we do see some pings in that bot side, so Arrow is going to be picking up this rather large wave forming, a big chungus of a wave if you want to call it that. Do have a minute until Dragon. I like this by Maryville. They're going in as a squad. They're setting up this vision. Just making sure the enemy jungle does not have any dark spots in it. You know what's coming. You've read the spoilers, you've read the synopsis, and you know all the plot twists.
Yeah, Wildcard. They have their Rift Herald timing out there, so Winston's forced to pretty much just throw it down for wave pressure in the bottom lane. He's hanging out down there, clearing out some minions, but Chippy's going to find that big old scuttler and is going to just tear it right down. Not going to be any real turret pressure gained off that objective. As Winston walking into three people, going to not get hit by any of the CC, though, and now they're setting up to punish Spyrex's TP. He's going to go invisible right away, lands the shuriken flip. Definitely not going to want to take that one. That is going to be control over the Dragon Pit gained for the side of Maryville. Brandini, though, he's about to go meta. He's looking in for this engage. He has the opportunity to dash forward, does not use it. So they're going to try to fight for control over this Dragon.
Look at the Narbar. It is ticking down. Less than a quarter left.
Oh, that's a big hook there, landed by Shady, though. Now it's going to be Spyrex going on in. He's going to get Nard into the wall before it's too late. Winston going to be able to throw down the equalizer, but he's going to get melted down right away. Odd Orange is in the backline, punching through everybody. The damage from the snip from Chippies kills two players in just a second there, and now it's going to be Arrow running away. Once again, the last man standing can't stay alive. Going to get finished off by Spyrex, as that's a 5-for-0 ace in the pocket of Maryville University. They're heading for the Baron. Go Farino.
And Maryville just dancing around that Narbar beautifully there. And Winston getting caught by that hook, not able to drop the equalizer until he's already dead. And by then it's kind of too late because you already have the Vi, you already have the Gwen on top of your backline. Maryville just able to destroy this wildcard composition. And hey, the reward for their trebles will be this Baron here. And the Dragon as well, since Chippies is on top of that, and I assume he'll be able to take that likely split. Yep, there it is.
A nice pickup for them indeed there. They get both of the major objectives off the map here. They are now on soul point. They now have purple buff at their backs to be able to siege on some of these turrets, nullify some of the wave clear that's been prevalent from this Lucian, from this Ezreal, from this Rumble. They're fully in the driver's seat now. They got about a 5k gold lead in their pockets, and it looks like this collegiate squad, they've come to play today.
They definitely have. They've been showing up, even though Wildcard had that strong early showing, had that early lead. Maryville have just been going around as a goon squad, more or less. And ever since that deep dive on that bot lane to net themselves that massive 4-4-1, they've kind of just been gradually taking control over this match.
Yeah, Spyrex was looking for a little bit of a flank play there onto Arrow, but does get spotted out by the control ward they've layered on down there. Arrow standing up into this jungle, trying to get a little bit of control back for his team. Spyrex spots him out, though, is looking to get onto him. Meanwhile, Odd Orange is looking to get the fight started while the AD carry's been zoned on away. Bradley trying to kite this one out, is going to be able to do so. Throws down the culling, trying to do as much damage as possible to Chippies, who's just throwing all of these needles across the team, but is left all alone. He's going to get shut on down by Brandini. There's the death sentence onto that Mega Gnar. Looking for the Gnar, not going to be able to find it here. Azog frontlining for this fight, going to be able to finish off onto the Gnar. Now Winston is left all alone on the side. They're all collapsing down onto it. Are going to be able to turn that one back around. Vi goes back into the fight, comes on in with the assault and battery, picks up another kill. Arrow once again going to be the last one there. He gets sniped down by Azog. Now here comes Bradley teleporting back in, left all alone, can't win the fight on his own, and is going to be shut down as a result. Chippy's the only one to fall, and it's another ace for the side of Maryville.
And it started off so great for Wildcard because they're able to just destroy Chippies. It looks like they have the lead there, but the damage just keeps adding up. They're not able to get that big Gnar ulti off. they're not able to really threaten out Azog after the initial chipping on him. Arrow he's trying very hard. Even though he's 0-3-6, he's still a massive threat, but it does not feel enough with just how strong this Maryville team feels right now.
Oh yeah, they feel real strong here. They've just got so many threats on this composition as well. It just feels like even if you get to chunk somebody out, even if you get to force Odd Orange to retreat, even if you get a bunch of damage onto Spirax, Chippy's does so much damage with the snip, with the needlework. Azog, it does so much damage with all of the piercing arrows coming on across and his own auto attacks, and then Odd Orange and Spirax can just re-engage later on. It's impossible to deal with everybody at once, and the side of Wildcard Red, they just get worn down eventually and picked off.
Yep, and this Wildcard Red composition outside of Brandini in the top lane, outside of Daption, I mean, even Daption, since he is underleveled as a Nautilus support, pretty fairly squishy. A lot of targets you can just use the point-click Vi ultimate on and easily shred on through with the rest of your team comp. But Wildcard Red aren't entirely out of this yet. There is a small chance that they make a comeback here, but I will admit part of that is just bias due to, Wildcard being the ones telling me to cast tonight.
Yeah, some amount of it has to be biased by some of the players that are on this team. We really were favoring these guys for a reason. They already have the pedigree from winning Cup just a couple of weeks ago.
They're just going to call the base race.
Yeah, and it's not going to be a base race they win. They realize right away that they all have to recall and try to stop this, but there's going to be some alone time with this turret for the side of Maryville. They're going to take it down before the members of Wildcard Red can even show up. That's an inhibitor turret claim for nothing, and now they can just turn around and set up for this dragon spawning in just about a minute. That's going to be Ocean Soul for the side of Maryville.
Yep, if they are able to grab it, and Maryville just calling out the bluff there by Wildcard, not going in to try and drop that vision, not going for the little cheese dangling at the end of a stick that was Arrow walking up to press Q. Now Maryville have prima position not only over this dragon, but also over that mid lane inhibitor that they just opened up and will be such an easy take if they get even an inch to grab it.
Yeah, and this has happened to multiple fights now, and here's happening again. Brandini's transformed just a little bit too early, so they kind of have to try to force something, and they didn't get it off. Now it's only Mininar getting dived on by Spirax here. He's just going to perfect execution away. Here comes his team on the other side. They're not able to finish off on a Spirax. Now we're going to throw down the Equalizer on top of him, but look at Chippy's on the other side. He's finished off Daption. He's forwarding onto Bradley and onto Arrow. He's getting fired on by the piercing arrows, by Azog on the backside. Odd Orange going to flash after him. Arrow stuck in a little bit of a corner here, tries to shift away, isn't going to be able to do so. Bradley doing as much as he can on the other side, can't take Chippies in the 1v1 though. Snip, and he's gonna fall on down there. It's going to be a 2-for-4 again in favor of Maryville, and they're going to be able to pick up the dragon here. Go Farino.
And Maryville just punishing Wildcard's aggression there so hard. Wildcard saw that Spirax was caught out, yes, but they have to commit so much to finish him off, even using the Equalizer when you have an entire rest of the Maryville squad coming right on behind you. That's going to give him the Ocean Soul, and now with this Ocean Soul, I think it's going to be nearly impossible for Wildcard Red to come back in this game. There's just going to be way too much healing for you to cut through, and you won't have enough time to get through it. They don't even really have any grievous wounds yet, if I'm not mistaken, outside of Winston, of course, with that nullifying orb.
Yeah, it's just don't have too much in the tank there to be able to deal with all of the members of Maryville here. They're just so far ahead at this point that execution has to be impeccable, and even then you aren't really guaranteed to win the fight up against all of these damage dealers here. And now with the Ocean Soul in their pocket, with all of that regen available, it's just going to become even more difficult as Maryville are starting to set up around the Baron.
Because this Ocean Soul, the triple Ocean Dragon especially, is going to be such a great way to nullify this Ezreal, because Arrow, prior to this, he could at least throw out a bunch of those Mystic shots, slowly chip you down. But with this insane regen that these Ocean Dragons are going to be affording you on top of the Ocean Soul, you can kind of neglect most of that poke, which is going to be a huge detriment here to Wildcard. Of course, there are other things that are also equally as large detriments, like this gold lead, like this general tempo lead and map control lead that Maryville find themselves having.
Yeah, absolutely. Here is it's going to be the Baron being started up here by Odd Orange. Shady and Azog are here for the backup while the split pushers are doing their thing. Now the teleport coming on through from Chippy's. He's going to be joining up here as soon as possible. Still waiting on Spyrax and where he's going to emerge. He comes on out behind them in the jungle. Branzini now going in for the CP, but here's the engage from Odd Orange. Goes to the assault battery right onto Arrow right away. Winston's just been melted through already. Doesn't even get any value out of that Rumble pick other than through the equalizer. Now Branzini's in a 1 versus 3. He's going to be taken down right away as well. Odd Orange now dives in onto the side of Arrow. Spyrax lands the Shuriken flip, goes on in for the execute. A sick blast cone to save himself there. Arrow showing off the MVP mechanics, but they're not going to be enough to win this game here. All 4 of his teammates are dead, and it does look like Maryville, they're going to try to pick up the Baron here, but they're going to call Chippies off of it and just go for the win instead.
Yeah, you have another 15 to Winston's backup, so it's only going to be Arrow and Daption here for the time being. Yes, Arrow does a lot of damage, but it's not enough to get through this Ocean Soul, not enough to get through this lead. We'll see what they can amount to here as one last stand.
Yeah, they're trying to get through onto Shady as if that would even save them, but they can't even do that. Daption's going to get finished on off here. Winston respawns, goes in for another equalizer, but it just doesn't matter. Chippy snips down the inhibitor, snips down the Nexus, and picks up the game win for the side of Maryville.
And Maryville being able to take this game number 1 in a series where we thought they would be going down 0-2, that is insanely impressive. Putting on one hell of a show here, really showing why they want to be the Titans in the AM scene that they've been historically chalked up to be, but haven't really shown so far this year. We'll see what the adaptations are from Wildcard Red in this next game.
Yeah, that's the North American Vi special there coming through for Odd Orange. He's really just such a huge force along with the Thresh coming through from Shady in this game, continuously finding the picks, keeping Bradley entirely removed from the game on this Lucian, and Maryville are able to just snowball that into fight win after fight win, and eventually take this upset victory. As you said, Goferino, we didn't expect them to take a game here, so they've already exceeded those expectations, and now they've got all the momentum at their back coming in for the rest of this series.
Yep, and that's something we will be having to check out here once we get into game number 2, but until then, we are going to take a short break here on the desk while we get everything prepared, but don't go anywhere, because this series is definitely throwing a few twists our way.
Awake to my voice and hear the call within. Embrace the fear inside. Surrender your mind to mine again.
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast on the Wildcard channel of the Risen Champions League matchup between Wildcard Red and Maryville University. We just saw Maryville take a pretty convincing game number 1 upset up against Wildcard Red here, and given that it's a best of 3 now, it's up to Wildcard to turn this all around or face getting 2-0'd.
Yep, Maryville does have the match point here, so they can lose this game and still have a chance at it. However, though, we'll have to see how things change up this game, because I'm taking a wild guess that ADFX, the coach of Wildcard Red, had a few strong words to say to the players between games. Either way, we are starting up the pick and ban right now. We will be swapping sides, so Wildcard Red will be rocking the blue side this time around, and we'll see how that changes their prio in this champion select here, Gordo.
Yeah, absolutely. Here they're going to lead off with that Lee Sin ban. That's going to be responded to with an Akali ban. Maryville took that Akali to great heights in game number 1 in the hands of Spyrax, and now they are going to be banning it away, making sure that Wildcard can't first pick that same champ for Bradley.
Yep, both these mid laners are mildly talented at Akali. That's one unjust way of saying it. Either way, though, see what Wildcard Red also want to take off the board here. Looks like the Thresh that was working out pretty well last time for Maryville. Of course, there were some other things in that system of equations there. Doesn't mean, though, Ezreal currently has not been banned. Neither has Rumble. Neither has Nocturne as well here. I wonder if we'll see any of those make it through here, because at least one of those 3 will have to make it through these picks and bans, and we'll see which one of those it is here, Gordo.
Yeah, and that's 3 members of Maryville's comp last game, all hitting the ban list already here in the first 4 bans. So might be a little implication that Maryville may have gotten a little bit of an Exodia comp together last game there. So their Akali, their Gwen, and their Thresh all going to be hitting that ban table. And, those are all blue side first pickable champions, I would certainly say. So definitely going to be pretty dangerous to be getting all of those all on one team here. That third ban from Wildcard is going to be the Karma, by the way.
Let's see what Maryville want to round it off with. It will be the Callista, which they did take away last time. Here's to see where Wildcard Red's priorities do lie, since you do have the pick of the litter here for quite a few champions. If I had to be biased, I'd say lock in the Nocturne here, since I feel like it is such a disgusting pick. Of course, each one of these teams tends to have their different priorities, and the Lulu being hovered, that has been banned more and more. I do know that Daption is a hardcore Enchanter support player. Would love to get that. Of course, though, solo lane Lulu is a thing as well, so potential triple way flex here coming out from Wildcard Red.
Yeah, and most often paired up with a Xin Zhao in the jungle, and with Maryville locking in that Rumble, that composition does seem to be very available for the side of Wildcard. But Maryville now, they've got their pick of the litter for AD mid laners to pair on up with this Rumble, and they have got their eyes on Nocturne here. He was banned away in game number 1, and now is going to be locked on in for the collegiate squad.
Yeah, because the Nocturne Lulu dynamic is definitely a curious one, because they both counter each other. Because, of course, Lulu, every assassin player in League of Legends knows how much they hate Lulu, her shields, her heals, and of course the polymorph, which kind of wrecks house. Of course, though, Nocturne, when he presses that paranoia, does mean Lulu has a hard time using her wild growth on whatever carry, whatever diver she wants to use it on. There is that fabled Lulu Xin Zhao combo you were talking about here, Gordo. Gonna be locked on in. Ezreal is still available. We saw how potent Arrow was on it last time around. There, of course, is every other 80 carry available except for that Callista. So Wildcard Red, ball is in their park for what they want to lock in here to finish off what I assume will be a bot lane pick.
Yeah, Wildcard really could have their pick of the litter here. I would not be surprised to see some kind of engaged support or something taken here, but it is going to be that Ezreal. Arrow has shown proficiency on a wide array of champions so far this split, but Ezreal, he's valued very highly by everybody for a reason, and so he is going to once again be prioritized and locked on in here for the Wildcard squad. Maryville, they chose to respond with the Varus last time. Worked out pretty well for Azog there. They're hovering it again. Would not be surprised at all to see this be the lock-in from Maryville.
So the third pick might actually be Renekton here for Wildcard. If I'm reading chat correctly from Arrow, they did not lock it in correctly. We'll get confirmation soon enough. Because that Varus is an Ezreal then.
All right. So
this is gonna
Varus
be
is
mildly
Ezreal.
confusing.
Ezreal's Renekton. Renekton is Ezreal. So I assume this ban from Maryville, that's an Ezreal ban. All right. Okay. I think we've got it all figured out here. Ezreal's on the ban list. Renekton's been locked on in for the side of Wildcard Red. That's going to be flexing potentially with the Lulu between the solo lanes. And Maryville, they're the ones who have got. Well, actually, wait. Maryville's got the Ezreal for themselves.
Yes, it's
So the Renekton is the Varus?
Well, okay. So Renekton is Varus. So that Renekton is a Varus ban. God, I love Pro
So
Draft so
Varus
much.
is banned. Ezreal's picked for Maryville. Renekton is picked for Wildcard. I think I figured it out. They're banning away Arrow's remaining picks now because Arrow still is not locked in an 80 carry as of yet. So they ban away the Varus from him. They ban away the Kog'Maw. They've taken away the Ezreal. And now, like we were talking about earlier, this is where Arrow's Champion Ocean might come into play a little bit. He's played the Sivir already. He's played the Samira a little bit. Played one game of Draven. And he's played a whole bunch of Aphelios. So I'd be expecting to see one of those picks come through from the wildcard side once it does head on back over to their side.
Don't think we'll see the Samira since being paired with a Lulu isn't the most potent thing, assuming, of course, it is Lulu Bond. Leona being hovered, the Leona does pair well with the Varus, does pair well with the Rumble. Of course, Nocturne always appreciates his targets being locked in one place. As now, Wildcard, they are going to have to...
That's got to be a missed ban. They just didn't say what it was in the chat. Oh, it's Rel. It's Rel. Okay, there we go. So Rel was the ban. Leona's the pick for Maryville.
Pro Draft is such a glorious and functioning and stable website program that never ever messes up and never ever causes headaches. Like, honestly, I've never heard of a single problem with Pro Draft. Either way, though, it is going to be that Aphelios for Arrow, and it is confirmed to be a Lulu in the solo lane. The Braum got to be very nice to be blocking out any potential Varus ultimates here. Very well, though. Spyrex looking for
Ezreal ultimates. That Varus is an Ezreal. Go for Reno. And so, going to be even more effective there to block away some Mystic shots as well. It's going to be the Ezreal-Leona duo for Maryville. We talked about Arrow's Aphelios. It has come on through here, being paired up with that Braum. And now Spyrax, he's going to finish off by locking on in his Azir. That likely means it's going to be Chippies on the Nocturne top lane.
God. I wish Pro Draft was a functioning thing. But yep, it is going to be confirmed that Nocturne top here for Chippies. Most likely matching... Gonna be matching into that Renekton here for Brandini, I assume. Of course, there is always potential flex here, and Spyrex, if he is facing the Lulu, should be a bit of an easier time for him to just scale on up and hit those happy Azir points.
Absolutely should be here. We're gonna find out exactly where everybody's going. The real flex here to be determined is for Wildcard Red solo lanes. Is where do they want to put the Lulu and where do they want to put the Renekton? It's they have the option here. You would assume you want to take Renekton into the Azir and Lulu into the Nocturne, but you could also switch those things up if you feel like the other one way around might be a little bit more favorable for where you want your champions hanging out.
Yep. Yep. I'm just still mildly tilted at a certain drafting website. Either way, though, there's still potential for some of these picks to be swapped on up. Well, okay, we know who's going to be picking them, but they can be moving around into different lanes here if Maryville or Wildcard Red so decide here, Gordo. And that's something we'll definitely have to wait until we get onto the Rift to see.
Yeah, definitely. At the moment, we do see Brandini's the one who's hanging out on the Renekton, while Bradley's the one on the Lulu. You might, on face, think that those might be swapped around based on the identities of those players, but the Lulu is going to be able to match the range of the Azir. Maybe not necessarily match it, but at least hang out a little bit farther away. Doesn't have to walk all the way up to those minions to last hit them the way that the Crocodile does. And so, likewise, that Crocodile himself might want to face off against the Nocturne, have a little bit more of an even situation where both of them are melees.
Yep. Like you said, there is potential here. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this game folds out because the Wildcard Red composition, they do have that nice combo, like you said, with the Lulu Xin Zhao. You do also have a very beefy, very damaging, very in-your-face front line with the Renekton Xin Zhao. You cannot just simply ignore that. That is going to be a pain train coming in onto your back line that you do have to deal with. And then you also have to deal with Arrow as this Aphelios. Has the Braum, has the Lulu. That is a lot of protection, and we'll see if that's enough to deal with potential Leona plus Nocturne plus Rumble damage here.
Yeah, also really excited to see the bottom lane here now because it's not going to be that super pokey focused lane of Ezreal Varus that we saw in the last game. Aphelios can kind of alternate what kind of play style he's going to be going for depending on which guns he has equipped. And with the Braum flanking him on the support position, they really do have the potential to go in for some really aggressive plays, assuming that Aphelios gets the right set of guns. Red and white is really the classic one there, those Chakrams plus the Severum, letting you stack up so many for bonus damage and being able to get the CC from the Braum to guarantee some extra auto attacks. Definitely something for us to keep our eyes out here on Arrow and Daption in particular.
Of course, though, we might not be able to keep too much of an eye on them because if Chippies is able to burst out this Aphelios, if Hot Orange as this Rumble is just able to rain hell down on and zone out this Aphelios with that equalizer, maybe Arrow just might not be able to be quite the X factor he wants to be in this game as this Aphelios, because when you pick Aphelios here, Gordo, you're saying that, yes, I want to be the big boy carrier of my team. I want to be one of the superstars here. I want to be top in the damage charts. And Arrow is certainly one of the players who can do that, but will Maryville allow him this game?
Yeah, really going to have to be playing conservatively and safely to make sure that he doesn't get dove on here by that Nocturne. And likewise, on the other side, Spyrack's going to be in a very similar situation. The mid-jungle duo of Lulu and Xin Zhao have a lot of really powerful gank potential up against these mid-lane mages. Yes, Azir does have the power to dash backwards with those shifting sands, but going to really have to keep that up and keep that available and not use it, or use it sparingly, rather, not use it frivolously to prevent himself from getting engaged on by Xin Zhao or even by Renekton, who happens to be roaming on down.
Yeah, thankfully the Azir does have the Shurima Shuffle, which can always... Okay, the Shurima Shuffle is usually used aggressively, but you do have the ultimate and, of course, the Shurima Shuffle to just get on out of things, because that giant knockup from the Azir ultimate, always very handy to get out of those sorts of situations. And once you knock out the Xin Zhao, once you knock out the Renekton, it's hard for them to re-engage on you because they have either limited engage range like the Renekton, or it's like Xin Zhao, who really wants to get in your face, stay on your face so you can maximize the duration of his ultimate. And if he's not allowed to do that, well, Xin Zhao does tend to fall over very quickly in fights. That's something we might have to keep our eyes out here on, the usage of that Azir ultimate to try and keep this dive from Wildcard Red out of the Maryville backline here, Gordo.
Definitely what we're going to be keeping an eye on here. We're going to throw it to a quick break now while we get loaded on up into the game. Do not go anywhere. We're going to be right back to see if Maryville are able to close out this series 2-0, or if Wildcard Red are going to tie us up at 1-1, take us all the way to a game 3. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's stream of the Risen Championship Series stream between Maryville University and Wildcard Red. We've seen Maryville take game number 1 here, sitting at 1-0 in this best of 3. We're going to see if Wildcard on the blue side are going to be able to clap back here, take us all the way to a game number 3.
Yes, because going down 0-1 when it's only a 3-series round robin, that's a tongue twister, is always a bit of an oofer because it means you kind of have to win your next 2 games to be able to qualify. Of course, there's one thing we have seen Wildcard Red do before is when they lose a game in a series, they usually come back very, very hard, and they come back with a vengeance. So we'll see if that trend keeps up, as this is an aggressive level 1 coming out from them. It was spotted out by that ward. Bradley already moving up. We might have a bit of blood here on the Rift, level 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, Chippy's going to get stunned on up here, but he's looking to chase forward onto Brandini. The flash engage comes through from Shady, trying to CC down onto this Crocodile. Chippy's tracing forward, going to be able to pick up the first blood there. And already you can see Maryville, they get off to a nice start. Once again here, they pick up the first blood for themselves, but Shady maybe wandering up a little bit too far. Dashin going to flash forward, going to get those concussive blows onto the Leona, and that means she is not long for the world. Winston going to be able to stab her down and pick up that kill. Makes it a 1-for-1 in the level 1, all in all, but the first blood still does go over to Chippy's.
Yep. Thankfully, at least for Brandini, Chippy's was not able to back after that first blood, so will just be purely XP differential for now. Up until the first back, at least. Either way, though, Wildcard Red got called out hard, called out a call-out post if you want to, because we saw the immediately roam up there from Shady to answer that. Brandini pays the price there.
Yeah, now he's just going to get shoved under this turret by the Nocturne incredibly early on. Chippy's has the first level 3, using the Unspeakable Horror to zone off of that Renekton and just keep denying him CS by virtue of keeping this wave shoved on up. But Brandini, he hits level 3, he goes in aggressively now, still has all of those big Renekton base damages. It's going to take Chippy's a little bit to recover from that. He's going to recall, but he gets all that first blood gold to spend now.
Yeah, keep in mind also there's 800 in this inventory for the Nocturne. Yep, it is going to be the Doran's Blade plus the Longsword here. So combine that with the Corrupting Potion and Brandini's lack of potions, Chippy's should have the sustain advantage here. We already see Brandini's down below half. Has to go in for a very quick trade. That is part of the beauty of the Slice and Dice combined with that W stun of the Renekton. You're able to go in, do a little bit of damage, and get out, usually relatively scot-free.
Yeah, that Unspeakable Horror going to put the flea onto Brandini there, but not going to really be snowballing it into too many kills as of yet, but is going to have control over that wave. He's going to be able to shove it in, and now he's making a move here for that top Scuttle Crab. Should be able to claim it for himself, while Brandini is obligated to finish off these last couple of CS. He's going to at least go into the jungle, get a little bit of vision for himself, make sure that he has at least some idea of where Winston's hanging around. And the answer is not topside.
Because Brandini does not have teleport to instantly come back to lane here. It is going to be the walk of shame, quote-unquote, back to lane here. Does thankfully have the boots, though, which alleviates a bit of that issue. And with the cloth armor to boot as well, kind of helps negate Chippy's lead here in a sense. Does always suck, though, as the Renekton to be on the back foot, since there is the old tried adage of Renekton does typically get outscaled by most matchups. Of course, in Season 11, Renekton, with the new items, with the new runes, has been having a much better time scaling up into the late game. But those old issues do rear their heads just a little bit here now and then.
Yeah, they do, and you can see another recall from Chippy's.
Flash.
There is an engage in the bottom lane. The root comes through onto Azog. They're going to follow that up with another slow. It's going to be concussive blows triggered. There goes Winston dashing on in there once he's been challenged. An arrow going to pick up the first kill of that bottom lane for himself here on his signature Aphelios. The team's going to be relying on him to carry. They get him his first kill in that bot lane engage.
Yep, and putting this Ezreal behind is always very nice. Of course, one of the more immediate things is the fact that Ezreal's not able to stack up that tier as quickly. Ezreal tier stacking timers are always such a major part of the champion. Hold that thought, though, because Brandini might be getting a little bit of a scuffle here.
Yeah, he gets
Slice and
jumped
dice.
from out of the bush by Odd Orange,
Pocket
who's going to
damage.
flash to pursue here, trying to pick up on with Chippies. That's the Unspeakable Horror coming
wait,
on across, going to be
heal.
landing that fear. Nice juggling of the turret aggro, but not going to be enough, or
Wait.
is it? As
Hey,
Odd
Captain should
Orange
get
managed to stay alive with
Winston's
the
also
bodacious
here.
bravery shield, but now here comes Winston coming in for an engage in the top side. Chippy's going to try to hide in that bush, but he gets spotted out right away. Daption, meanwhile, has found Odd Orange. No recall going to be available for that Yordle. That's 2 more kills picked up for the side of Maryville. Or Wildcard, rather.
And Brandini there with that disgusting Call of the Meek to get that fatty Nando heal under that turret to keep him alive just that much longer. Let that turret damage rack on up. Does result in 2 kills here for Wildcard. Now up to that 4-2 kill lead. It does mean, though, that Arrow does have to play the fun game of, well, you're 1 versus 2 as an immobile AD carry Aphelios, and the enemy does have that Leona. So you just kind of have to respectfully fall back, lose some CS, but Arrow probably more than happy with the dubs his team has taken across the map there in that top side.
Absolutely should be here. That's a nice pickup there for Winston, especially Daption. You can take or leave the kill. You might not care quite as much, but Winston getting that gold in his pocket going to be huge. And stopping Chippies from really running away with this game in the top lane also going to be a huge deal. Huge props to Brandini there for managing to contain him as is necessary, be able to get that kill back onto the Nocturne and back onto the Rumble.
Does also mean here that with that kill picked up, there is Prio in this bot lane. With this Braum right on back, we are seeing the calls out here to try and do a little bit of an invade here, maybe drop some vision. I don't think Wildcard Red should be hard committing for this, but they can try and be cheeky about this as Shady is going to be walking into the bush.
Yeah, that's just an instant stun coming through onto the Leona. They got 3 members all on top of him. The Eclipse going to be keeping him tanky enough to stay alive for the time being. Now Odd Orange has arrived as well. Does not have access to the Equalizer quite yet, but is still firing over those harpoons, slowing down Daption. They're all going to take that Blast Cone to get to safety here. Is now Bradley has found Spyrax a little bit too far up. Winston going to flash forward. He's going to dash in. He's going to pick up that kill onto the Azir. That wasn't exactly what we were talking about in Champion Select about the vulnerabilities mid lane mages, but it still works out nonetheless as Spyrax just gets caught with his pants down in the river.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had a replay on that because Bradley was winning that, and I didn't get to see how and why, if it was just a gradual thing, but Daption getting a little frisky in the bot lane. Nothing too much going to come of it. Wildcard Red definitely coming back swinging in this game. It's not an insurmountable lead by any means, but they are putting their foot down across the map, and there are 3 kills on this Xin Zhao, as well as a kill on this Aphelios, which is always such a scary thing given Xin Zhao's propensity to snowball. And, well, we all know just the menace that this Aphelios can scale to be, Gordo.
Absolutely do, and Arrow is well on his way there, and definitely the man you want on that role. But now Spyrax going in for a nice shuffle into the mid lane, and that's going to be able to pick up a nice kill onto Bradley with the assist coming through from Chippies. A nice pick up there for Spyrax to get back a little bit gold. He might have lost from getting ganked earlier on. Claps back up against the wildcard mid laner.
It is usually pretty easy to kill a Lulu if you knock her on back, and then Chippies also uses the ultimate there. Arrow's looking aggressive, though.
Yeah, he throws down that Moonlight Vigil, just cleanses away from the ultimate, trying to finish off onto this Leona. Not going to be able to get quite enough autos to be able to do so, but is going to successfully force out the opposing laners in the 2 versus 2 there. That's going to give them complete control over this wave. Might even net them a turret plate or 2.
Yeah, and that was really ballsy. I don't recall, sadly, whether or not they had vision of Odd Orange walking up towards mid lane after that dragon, because if they didn't, that was definitely a little bit risky there. You don't want to deal with a Odd Orange coming in with that equalizer. Still, it does give them that favorable back. It does force out Shady's ultimate there, which is a very juicy thing, even if it does cost your cleanse. You're able to make use of that to get some extra prow here in the bot lane, able to use that to convert into kill threat. Hey, that's always nice.
Absolutely is here as Arrow once again just showing his mastery over this Aphelios to take control over the bottom lane. Yes, he does end up expending his cleanse and his ultimate, but it certainly is going to end up feeling worth it at the end of the day there. See these mid laners still just farming it out here. Spyrax has a nice CS lead for himself here in the mid lane, about 20 in his favor here with that range advantage on the Azir. And meanwhile, Chippies has lost some control over this top lane. Brandini trading back here, but we can see the damage is going in favor of the Nocturne thus far, but that's a nice Cull to Meek, get some health back.
Yeah, thankfully this Renekton does have the plated steel caps, which helps quite a bit against the Nocturne damage. Of course, Chippies does have his Executioner's Calling, so it's a bit of a no-use situation. Chippies does also have the Paranoia here if he really wants to commit. He would be flying into a Dominus, though, and that is a Pain Train. There's a Hex Flash being channeled. Arrow has to be quick on the flash.
Shady dives in onto Arrow. They are going to be followed up with by the Solar Flare. Not going to land the stun, though, as Shady just gets traded on under the turret. Meanwhile, Chippies is getting dove in the top lane. Brandini going to be able to pick up that kill. 2 kills go over to the side of Wildcard across the map as they both make great plays. One to avoid a gank and the other to pull one off.
Man, and it looked great in the bot lane there, except since Arrow had the purple gun up. Never mind that. Auto Orange is looking for this. There is the Crescendum still available for the Aphelios. Can look to get that massive AoE slower, the massive heal. Spyrax is walking down, though. It's like nothing too much will come of this. Just a lot of getting in each other's face, a lot of trading of damage, Gordo, but not a lot of play-by-play action, so to speak.
Yeah, not in particular as of yet. So now we can see Auto Orange might be a little bit caught out, though, in the opposing jungler. Just going to turn it around with the Flame Spitter, though. Overheats, does a bunch of damage here. Now Azog is going to shift forward, trying to pick up here onto Arrow. Going to be able to do so. Shady picks up that kill. As Azog flashes over the wall, going to be followed by Brandini, but just gets Trima shuffled away. The Emperor's Divide. Too clean there on the Renekton. He gets finished off by Azog as well, as this Ezreal is kept alive and safe, and now Bradley running all on his own, but he's on the wrong side of the map, and Chippies has the Unspeakable Horror on him. He's going to start fleeing now, going to be chain CC'd by the Leona, going to be picked up by Spyrax's Azir. It's going to be Winston picking up a turret in the top lane in trade, but the fight goes in favor of Maryville.
Man, and a little bit of deja vu coming to me from last game here, where Wildcard Red did have that early lead, but Maryville did use the Goon Squad strats to dive that bot lane, get a massive 4-for-1, and then start making way with the game like that. Of course, though, like you said, Winston able to secure that first tower on the top side. That is a fatty chunk of gold to this already massively snowballed Xin Zhao. I mean, has the kill lead, has the CS lead, definitely has the gold lead here if our producers cat allows them to take a quick look at the gold. There's nearly a 2x gold difference as there's the equalizer.
Yeah, going to be layered down there on top of Winston, but he just chooses to go in. Maybe not the right choice, as Spyrax jumps in to join the fight as well, and Odd Orange going to be able to pick up that shutdown on the previously 3-0 Xin Zhao. More gold going back into the pockets of Maryville, as for the second game in a row, they appear to be making the comeback after the early game. Go Farino.
Yeah, and Winston, extremely powerful, but not 1v3 powerful quite yet. Does also die right before the dragon spawns as well. Not the most opportunistic time to be dying. Look at this, pathing towards the bot lane. Chippies does not have the ultimate quite yet, but that's more than enough threat, just having 4 bodies to just 2 bodies there in that bot lane, as Maryville going to be exerting control over this dragon.
Yeah, now the dragon going to be started up here, as you say, by the side of Maryville. They should be able to claim this pretty much uncontested. Winston's on the top side of the map. Arrow and Daption are on a recall. It's going to be the second dragon of the game picked up for Maryville here, beating 2-0 in that objective. They've come really close to evening up the gold. Still is about a 2k lead, though, in favor of Wildcard. They just need to be able to find their fights and stop losing out on a couple of them to Maryville.
We will have to see. Because Wildcard Red, they do still have the gold lead here. But Maryville, they are starting to crawl ahead thanks to those dragons. They're getting some kills onto some key members here as well. Zero with 2 kills. Always a scary thing to face. Gonna have to see how this shapes up, though, because probably won't be seeing another objective fight here until the next dragon. So just maybe some miscellaneous scuffles across the map, Gordo. And oh lord, until then.
Yeah, no, Winston just trying to clear out vision here. There is a little bit of a trap being set for him, but it is spotted on out by the side of Wildcard. They're going to scan away that ward and start chilling in the river here, looking to see if somebody pokes their head out somewhere that they shouldn't. This setup now around the bottom river, not going to net them any dragons or anything. So that's not going to respawn for about 4 minutes, but the Wildcard crew going to look to try to set up around this middle lane, see if they can maybe get a little bit of an invade off.
See what they're able to do. They'll definitely be able to clear out a bit of this bot side vision. There's no camps to take, so you can't really counter jungle. They'll exert a bit of control over this bot side map, which is always very nice setup for the future. Winston is looking mid lane here, can try and do something, but with how far back Spyrex is, it is going to be a little bit tricky, and Auto Orange is within shouting range to drop an equalizer to try and help out as a mid laner if anything does go awry.
Yeah, those soldiers just being kept so far away there give Spyrex the range to prevent him from getting ganked there. Most mid laners would end up being ganked here, but it looks like Spyrex might be no exception. He does just dash on away, though. That's the mobility and the safety that Azir provides. In a lot of situations, Winston would be able to make that play with Bradley with this powerful duo, but the Azir affords him the range and the mobility to stay alive.
Yep, and also thankfully dodging out of that wind becomes lightning there. He's an Auto Orange. We do have the knowledge of this, but might be at a little bit of a disadvantage, especially when Brandini comes in.
Yeah, nice Glacial Fissure knocks up on an Odd Orange, but he does just manage to flash out and stay alive. Meanwhile, Azog just pushing in this bottom lane, going to be able to likely pick up a turret for their side. Not going to be the first one of the game. That was already claimed in the top side. Meanwhile, Arrow's just farming it up in the mid lane, trying to make himself the hyper carry that his team's going to need him to be. Still is a little bit down versus Azog, but has completed his mythic and is well on his way to item number 2.
Oh, for sure. And this Azir is going to be wrecking house. Of course, though, Wildcard composition couldn't even really handle a even Azir in terms of just pure face tanking it. But what they can do is just try and blow up this Azir. And since Spyrex is not going for the Zhonya second, opting instead for the Void Staff second, just for that extra damage, making sure in case there's any magic resist built up on the enemy team. Without the Zhonyas, of course, it does make you that much more susceptible to dive, as that's a great route. Spyrex in a bit of danger.
Yeah, goes up a little bit too far there, going to deny the engage coming from Winston, but he just gets melted down by Arrow. A nice solo play pretty much there from the 80 carry on Wildcard. Picks up a kill onto Spyrex, shuts down that Azir, gets even more gold in Arrow's pockets.
And importantly, that route blocking that Shurima shuffle from Spyrex. And then we even saw Bradley in the river there in case Spyrex did commit the flash. Look at these Wildcard red players. They are swarming like hornets around this Baron right now to make sure there's plenty of vision for that Worm when it does spawn in a few minutes. Of course, the name of the game right now is still Heralds. They can look to try and get a sizable chunk out of a tower, even just take an entire one.
Yeah, it definitely could here. So that's going to be the Rift Herald getting started on the up by Winston. He's going to try to claim that one for himself. Looks like it will be largely uncontested. You got to believe that they're going to want to throw that one in the mid lane here pretty soon. They've got their bot lane rotated up there to try to get some priority over the center of the map, but Azog is really doing a lot of work here to poke on out Arrow and try to secure the mid lane turret for the side of Maryville. It's already been taken down pretty low here. You can see Shady is waiting in the wings, trying to look for an engage, at least trying to secure some vision on the opposing team's red side jungle, and really all of this is to set up for the next dragon here, where Maryville are looking to put themselves up on a Soul Point.
Yep, and we already see this bot side map lit up fairly well by Maryville. I believe that some of the vision has been spotted out there by the Scry's Orb. Winston has to be careful, is rooted up.
Yeah, going to face check there. Finally throws down the Crescent Slash to try to stay alive. The dive in comes from Chippy. He's not quite able to finish it off. There's a huge equalizer layered across 3 members. Does get immune largely by the Xin Zhao ultimate, but everybody now on Wildcard is taken down so incredibly low. The Rift Herald gets denied, gets taken down before it can charge, and that's pretty much the fight win that Maryville needed. They don't pick up any kills, but they effectively force out everybody on the Wildcard side, and they're going to pick up their 3rd dragon here.
Yeah, and it's not like Wildcard Red can really respond with much here. You aren't going to lose the mid-inner, or the mid-outer. Bot lane's already heavily pushed up, and top lane is just way too far of a hike on up here to really pressure that. So Maryville, like you said, despite not getting any kills, put themselves in a very comfortable position. Lets them put themselves on that soul point, and any amount of Cloud Dragons and Nocturne Rumble comp gets, and combine that with Leona, is just so obnoxious. Winston and Daption might be looking for this, though. Shady is no longer in the area. They're going for this.
Oh, the dive in comes in onto Odd Orange. Winston going to
they
pick that
might
one up
find
pretty
Chippies
easily.
here.
And now Chippy's left out pretty much to dry. They're going to dive in onto this Nocturne. Not quite able to trigger the concussive blows. Not able to get that stun. It is going to be the flash coming through from Chippies. The kill picked up onto Odd Orange. And now Prio over the Baron is the reward for the side of Wildcard. They're going to try to get onto this one right away because they know Odd Orange is down.
They have to be careful. Spyrax does have his full combo, does have the flash. Will be able to destroy them with this magic resist debuff if Wildcard Red are not careful. Of course, they are a man down. Have to be careful. That's a great route.
Yeah, two-man root comes through from Arrow. Now they're going in onto Azog. He's been chunked out really low before the fight even really gets started, but there's the paranoia. Chippy's going to dive in onto Brandini. Has a good idea that the Renekton is all alone. They aren't going to be able to pick up the kill onto him either. Everybody on Wildcard's still alive, but Maryville have succeeded in their mission. They've stopped the Baron. They can disengage now as Odd Orange gets back out onto the map.
Yep, and you can also argue that Wildcard Red potentially accomplished their mission as well, since they knew they would be contested, and by baiting out some of those big ultimates, hey, maybe it's going to make your life that much more easier next time this whole sing, song, and dance does happen, Gordo, because those were some big cooldowns that were blown. He did also get out... Okay, never mind. I thought there was a flash, but there was not. I must be mistaking that with Chippy's flash from earlier. Either way, though, Wildcard Red, they don't lose anything. They gain a little bit. They gain that free kill, and helps them establish some tempo control back on this map, and we'll see what it translates into.
Yeah, going to be the requirement is Brandini going in onto Chippies a little bit, going to force him to Stride Breaker out of there. So now it's 230 on to the next Dragon. That is Soul Point for Maryville. They do want to be able to pick up that Dragon Soul for their side here. Will be super valuable. Some of the ultimates that they have in their pockets here, the Paranoia, the Equalizer, the Solar Flare, every single one of those, something you want on a low cooldown and something you want extra movement speed to boot with.
Winston. Cheeky person. I almost said a word not allowed on cast. But
yeah, it's all right. It's all right. You all said bad person. That's definitely what was being implied there.
Yeah.
Is now going to be, once again, this 5-man squad of Wildcard. They're coming up into the mid lane. They're making sure they can maintain control over this bottom river. So now they're heading up towards the Baron as well. They know they have a whole bunch of team fight power, but the engage range from Maryville is always such a threat. They have to play tight together, but not too tight to where they're going to get ruined by an Equalizer.
Mm-hmm. That is the beauty here of this Maryville composition. You can have Nocturne half a map away. You can have the Rumble like 2 screens away and still engage pretty meaningfully in a fight. And now that Chippy's working towards that Warden's Mail item, I assume it's going to become a Randuin's. That is going to be a bit of a pain for Arrow to get through. Who is sitting on only 2 items, does not have the armor pen quite yet, and will take a little bit longer to get through Chippy's.
Absolutely will here is... Once again, both squads grouping up around the middle lane. Bradley has TP, is hanging out in the top. He's going to go for a recall here. He's got his core items on the support here. Has the Ardent Sensor to empower both Arrow and Winston. Likely is going to have to TP if a fight breaks out a little bit too soon here. There's about 40 seconds to go on this next Dragon. Wildcard do not want to be late to this party.
Yeah, but you do also have to be wary. It is Baron season, and trading a singular Cloud Dragon for the Baron, not the most great trade, as Wildcard Red, they are just going to be starting this on up. They have to be careful. Every single ultimate on the enemy team is available, and they're going to want to fall off of this pretty quickly if they don't want to have to sit in a pit with an Equalizer. Winston is looking for this, has that Daption backing him up, but Maryville going to be skirting on the edges of danger here to thwart them as Wildcard Red right back on the Baron.
Yeah, they're getting right on there. They do have the vision control. The pink wards have been layered on down to prevent anybody from seeing what is going on. Shady comes on over, gets the vision that is necessary. They see that the Baron's at about half HP. There's the Equalizer layered on down, followed up with by the Solar Flare. Gets cleansed away by the side of Arrow, but look at who's already in. It's Brandini. He's going to get melted down before the fight can even really get started. And now the side of Wildcard, they have to back on away. They are missing their big frontline Crocodile. Winston can't do it all the way on his own, and they have to look at backing away here. The Baron is going to get moved on to by Maryville, and they also have to be worried about the Soul Dragon.
They can't really contest the Soul Dragon. I mean, they had to use a lot of their big ultimates there. They're now also down a man, down a crucial frontliner. There's nothing they can do. They're not even going to try and contest it because this dragon should already be gone before they're even within shouting distance of it. And Maryville, with the Cloud Soul, that is going to be obnoxious to deal with the potential ulti spam coming on out of them, but then also just the move speed to help them dip and dive out of any engage range that Wildcard Red might have. But Wildcard Red, once again, right back onto this Baron. They are looking to shred through it. Chippies does have teleport, does not have paranoia, though.
Yeah, Maryville, we were talking about last game. They find a play that succeeds, and they just keep going for it over and over again. Wildcard this game, they find a play that doesn't succeed, and they just keep going for it over and over again, as this is probably the third or fourth time now they've tried to start up this Baron, and every time they are just finding themselves getting poked on out, and they're losing stuff all over the map. As a result, they lost Dragon Soul, they just lost mid-inner turret. They're really getting pushed and pulled all over the place by this Maryville squad. They're getting out-macroed, Gopherino.
Yeah, and Wildcard Red, they are very hard tunneling onto this Baron, which is a very strong objective. Don't get me wrong, they can do it in a fairly quick fashion, especially with Arrow on this Aphelios, almost at 3 items, but doesn't matter a lot when Maryville is always able to respond, always within responding distance as well. So now you're just down that Cloud Soul. It's dead even on gold. And Wildcard Red, it definitely feels like they're much more on the back foot than it may appear on the scoreboard. And a lot of that is just the macro difference, the map control difference coming out from Maryville.
Certainly is here. As you said, Arrow getting close to that 3-item spike, and you gotta believe that's what they're going to want before they have a huge team fight break out against one of these epic objectives. You really need this Aphelios to come up huge in one of these team fights, because the front to back just has not been working out for them as of yet. The superior range of Maryville managing to tear through the frontliners of Wildcard before Wildcard can really even step up with Arrow and start dealing out the damage.
Yeah. Thing is, will we ever get to see that, though? Because the Maryville composition does not really have to engage in that so much. You can pop the Paranoia, you can pop the Equalizer, zone out the Aphelios, and just worry about the Winston, worry about the Brandini right on top of you. We'll see what happens when a big fight does break out, because Shady's looking for Winston here.
Yeah, going to find him here. He throws down the Crescent Guard, trying to stay alive, but 4 members are right on top of him. That's going to be the Guardian Angel popped, and it's not going to keep him alive for much longer. He tries to flash away, but he falls down to Spirax nonetheless. Now, Maryville, they've picked off the opposing jungler. They're the ones who can go and start up the Baron now, and they are in an excellent position to do so. 40 seconds left on Winston's death timer, and very little ability to actually engage from the side of Wildcard without that key character.
Oof, yeah, and Wildcard Red, they're going to have to do something about this. There's still a Paranoia that they have to deal with, but look at that split.
Yeah, the dive in onto Oddorn. She's left kind of alone in the pit. Brandini's going to try to pick him up, is able to do so. Now the kiting back is successful for the side of Arrow. He's dishing out so much damage here. He goes in with the Moonlight Vigil. He picks up 1 kill here. Now it's going to be the dive onto Brandini. He's going to fall down. Is the loss of Arrow and Brandini for the side of Wildcard. They were able to pick up 2 kills, but still, it's going to be Maryville in control over this Baron, and this time they should be very likely to pick it up. They don't have their smite anymore. They shouldn't need it, as they forced Wildcard entirely out of the map.
Man, and it was so close too, but Arrow was pumping out so much damage, you blink and then all of a sudden he's on 10 health. Such is the life of a Fed 80 carry, even with a Lulu, even with a Braum backing you on up. And Wildcard Red now definitely very noticeably on the back foot. They're gonna be having to deal with this Baron push. There's an Elder Dragon coming up in 2 minutes here, and they just haven't really been able to answer with the super long range denial, the super long range engage coming out from Maryville.
Yeah, certainly have not been able to as of yet. Now there's 2 more minutes to go on this Elder Drake. Arrow desperately wants to be able to finish that Infinity Edge before the next big fight. We talked about getting to that 3-item spike. They were not able to do it in time there for this Aphelios, and while he did dish out plenty of damage, it just didn't end up being enough there. Was only really able to pick up 1 kill onto Mr. Shady. He is going to end up falling down in that fight, end up given over the Baron, and now the siege coming through from Maryville should be very strong with Ezreal and Azir.
There's the ulti. There's the equalizer just to get Arrow right on off. Keep in mind, this is the double Cloud Dragon Rumble. This is also a Rumble who's got a bit of haste under his belt as well. Winston actually is spotted out here. He's kind of chilling.
Yeah, he saw that ward get placed down. I don't know what Winston's doing here, just not looking at his own character. As Spyrex goes on in, shuffles him in with the Emperor's Divide, and they pick up the opposing jungler once again. And now it's the Paranoia thrown on down with the Stealth Teleport coming through from Chippies to get the damage off, and now we're just going to back on away. They should be able to pick up this mid inhibitor. Maybe they will even pick up even more as this four-man squad of Wildcard, they're outnumbered in their own base and forced to back away and stick together to avoid getting picked off.
Yep, but now their base has been absolutely destroyed. They lose their jungler there. They lose 2 inhibitors. There's a Elder Dragonette spawning in less than 30 seconds here. And we might just see a 2-0 tonight, but not the 2-0 we're expecting, Gordo, as Maryville just firmly in control of this game.
Yeah, and this is huge for Maryville, too, to be able to beat one of the higher-seeded teams in their group. This is only a single round robin here in 4-team groups. Being able to take this early win up against the winners of Cup will be huge mileage for Maryville to be able to actually go into qualifying for the playoffs here and getting even more of those Proving Grounds points.
Yep, as Maryville is playing it by the books here. Playing the supers, go on in to choke out this wildcard composition, setting up all the visions, setting up all the control. Winston's actually going in, looking for the pick.
Yeah, dives onto Spyrex, gets some nice damage, and it's odd Orange who actually ends up getting picked on off here, but now with the Paranoia, they're diving back onto Arrow. They are going to get the fleeing onto him, but he's still managing to stay alive. He has all of these chakrams to deal out so much damage. Arrow still standing, getting shielded by the side of the Lulu. Finally, Spyrex able to get onto him, though. Ezreal damage, too big. Already a double kill picked up for the side of Azog. Already a triple kill as well, and he's going to look to make it a quadra here as he gets onto Daption. They finished off Arrow. Mission accomplished, and Maryville University are going to look to close on out this game. They march onto those Nexus turrets. It's going to be enough for Spyrex to finish them on his own. Azog, he's taken the long walk through, but he's going to meet up with his mid laner. He is going to destroy the Nexus, and Maryville University are going to succeed in the upset and beat Wildcard Red 2-0.
Yep, as it was a 2-0, not the 2-0 we expected, and props to Maryville for showing